Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome into the video. So in this one, we're going to take a look at what happened in the stock market last week and what to expect moving forward, including how to trade it, and then go over 7 different trade ideas for the week and weeks ahead. As always, there are timestamps in the description, and let's go ahead and get into it. So starting out by taking a look at the S&P futures chart, we've been talking about this key pivot zone at 4493 to 4500, which is the key decision point for the trend. 2 weeks ago, the market rallied and it was able to break out above this and hold the backtest twice as new support. Last week, though, it ended up dropping back below, which triggered the downside move and another pullback for the market. For a shot at upside for the market, the S&P must reclaim and hold back above that zone. So the S&P has also built out this large descending triangle pattern, which will likely set up the next breakout or breakdown for the market. On the upside, the trendline resistance, which will be at 45.20 to 45.30 next week, would be that breakout trigger above, and on the downside, the key support is at 43.68, which breaking and holding below there would start a larger breakdown and leg lower for the market. So into next week, 44.93 to 4500 is the key pivot zone to watch for the market direction. A little bit above there is the trend line, which could start that larger break to the upside and target 45.60, and then the long-term resistance zone above there at 45.80 to 46.32. On the downside, levels to watch are at 44.64, 4400 to 44.10, and then 43.68, which would be the breakdown trigger below there, and 43.05 would be the next key level on the downside if that breakdown was to play out. And the overall structure and pattern of the S&P does not have much of a bull or bear bias right now, so really anything could happen. My personal lean into next week would be for upside. Right now, it's much easier to find bullish setups than bearish setups, which is an important tell for the indexes, and the market is also coming into a strong seasonality period. As we can see on the seasonality chart, after about the first week to week and a half or so of September, the S&P has one of the most bullish periods that lasts about a week and a half before pulling back into the end of September. Seasonality is not everything, and I would never trade purely off of that, but it is a very important data point and plays out more often than it doesn't. So now getting into some stock setups and trade ideas for the week ahead, starting out with Samsara, ticker symbol IOT. And this stock has built out a textbook cup and handle pattern that has been building out since its IPO in late 2021. A super strong pattern like this, which also coincides with an IPO base, is an A+ setup in my book. So 31.41 is the previous highs and breakout level, which it needs a break and hold above to start the breakout into new all-time highs. The stock pretty much went straight up before attempting this recent breakout and failed to hold above 31.41 on the first attempt, which is normal though if there is not a basing period first. Right now it's basing and building up that energy, which is great to see and should see an explosive move higher after this basing period. To trade this, I'd be watching the 29.9 to 30.3 support zone on the downside as a possible dip buy area, or watch for long entries on a break and hold above 31.41 and play with tight stop losses for each entry. It may take a couple times, you may get stopped out a few times, but once it does work, the risk reward is going to be major for the upside. Mercado Libre, ticker MELI, is another one we've been talking about for a few weeks now, and this setup continues to look very constructive. 1300 to 1365 is the key long-term resistance zone that it broke out above, and it had nice upside follow-through following that. And last week during the market's pullback, it held up strong and is getting a healthy basing period, which can set up that next leg higher. The targets that I'm looking for above are at the 1500 psychological resistance next, and then above there it has 2 gaps to fill at 1600 and then at 1753. Array Technologies, ticker ARRY, is another one that we talked about last week. The stock has been setting up in this base for more than a year, and it attempted to break out above the 24 to 24.29 zone. This breakout ended up failing last week, and I personally got stopped out of my position, but it continues to be a close watch if it's able to reclaim back above there. Above 24.29 would be where I enter back into this and play it with a stop loss back below around 24, but it is a no touch for me until it reclaims back above 24.29. We've also been going over this setup with Tesla stock, and this has provided multiple great trade opportunities off of the key 240 to 241.9 pivot zone. It is now getting very tight, and as long as it's able to hold above the 240 to 241.9 zone, this is setting up for a strong upside move in my opinion. So I'm watching this trendline resistance, which is currently at about 255, to act as a mini breakout trigger, which above there can start a move to previous highs around 260, which it needs a break and hold above there to start that next leg higher. The bigger picture is this multi-year long wedge pattern that is getting very, very tight, and when this breaks, this can trigger a huge move for the stock and likely a multi-month move. Adobe, ticker symbol ADBE, is another stock that continues to set up great after that breakout above 541.2. So after the breakout, it had strong follow through, and last week it had a full week of base and consolidation, which is setting it up very nicely for that next leg higher. Breaking above 470 would start that continued upside, which can then target 594.5 and then the 604.5 gap fill as those next levels up. Supermicro Computer, ticker symbol SMCI, has been one of the biggest market leaders in 2023 and is setting up nicely for an opportunity very soon. So it got a little ahead of itself before earnings about a month ago, which led to a sizable gap down, but after this gap it held up well and has built out a nice looking base and showing good accumulation. I'm watching 298 to act as the breakout trigger out of this base, and the first target above would be the gap fill at 340.98, and breaking and holding above there would likely set up a move to new highs. Relative strength does not lie, and these dips on SMCI have been getting bought up non-stop. And Google stock continues to show big relative strength versus the market as well, as it holds up very good on every pullback, which is exactly what you want to see for long trades. It recently broke out of this bull flag and broke out above the 133.75 to 134.06 key zone, and last week it had a small pullback to retest that zone as new support, which held perfectly and is now looking set up for upside continuation. In the Discord group, we entered this on the initial break and hold above 134, and then added to the position last week after the successful retest and hold as support. I'm watching 140 to 140.95, which is also a gap fill as that next target zone above. So that is everything that I'm watching for in the week ahead from the S&P and those 7 individual stocks and trade ideas. Hope you all enjoyed and hope I provided some value to you in this one. If so, make sure the like button and subscribe button down below. Helps me out a lot and I would greatly appreciate it. For anybody interested in joining the private Discord chat, that is the first link down in the description to get my personal trade alerts, nightly watch lists, and to answer any questions you have in there. I'll catch you all next time. Thank you for watching, and peace out.